Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. During the Winter Emerge 2020, we highlighted some incredible companies working to elevate the industry while using sustainable practices. So in this session, we're speaking with CEO of Feel State Incorporated, David Melnick. David, I'm so stoked we could talk with you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
All right. How's your day been? So far, so good?
Yeah, so can't complain, always looking forward to what's next in the day of an entrepreneur. So
Yeah,
it's always exciting.
Well, to start, maybe you can share with your audience a little bit about Feel State and kind of the concept behind it.
Yeah, so myself and two other partners started Feel State back in 2019, and we are focused solely on dispensary operations, based out of St. Louis, Missouri. And our primary business model is actually creating a franchisable type dispensary where we can go and work with people that own the dispensary license and provide them with the necessary strategic, operational, and branding support to kind of compete on the scale of some of the larger players in the industry without having to go out and try to acquire the necessary capital to do so. So generating some economies of scale, really focusing on community-oriented dispensaries and how you can integrate cannabis into one's overall health and wellness routine. I could talk for the next 10 hours on this, so I'll cut it off and maybe we'll pick it back up another time.
Well, maybe you could start by telling us some of the main challenges that entrepreneurs might face when opening a dispensary and sort of how Feel State is stepping in to make that a little bit easier.
Yes, I mean, the challenges of opening any cannabis business are endless. First, it starts with the licensing itself, just trying to be able to obtain a license, especially in a more limited market state. It's not always the easiest route to go. Making sure you have a really strong team and support and business plan behind you is a good place to start. So that's a much more in-depth conversation. But then it's also, once you have the license, there's so many decisions that have to be made in order to get open, from building and design to staffing to all the technology that you need to use, just the amount of FF&E and accessories that go into it. It's a lot, and it can be overwhelming, and we've dealt with that before. And so our goal is to help make this as seamless of a process for groups as we can in order to get them up and running as in an efficient and cost-effective manner.
You mentioned earlier the capital required to do something like this. Is that something that Feel State is able to help with?
So we have connections to investors looking at different opportunities all the time. We don't take an ownership in anyone's license. We want them to have as much control over it as they can. So it's really more our fee structure is based off of a percentage of revenue, like a royalty, or some other arrangement that we may come to an agreement with. But at the end of the day, we're trying to keep as much of the economic benefit with the dispensary owner as they can, and really, trying to get them to invest and reinvest in the community in which they operate. So, we don't want to be taking everyone's profits and bring them somewhere else. It's, keep it in that community and really help, that community thrive with the cannabis business.
Well, building strong communities, I think, is a big part of being a sustainable company. What are maybe some other ways that Feel State helps those franchise locations incorporate sustainable ideals into their practices?
Yeah, so we have a long list of ways that companies can be sustainable and have sustainable business practices. On the dispensary, it's a little maybe not as obvious as a cultivation, some of the energy saving construction methods you can do, but there are steps you can take, whether it's using recyclable materials in your build out, LED lighting, obviously natural lighting if the regulations in the state allow for windows or skylights or things of that nature. And then also it's really focusing on having a strong recycling program, and using recyclable materials and packaging, just trying to limit that, that carbon footprint. And another way is also, local sourcing. So when it allows working with cultivators and manufacturers that, have sustainable business practices and are also located near the dispensary. So you're not, incurring all the travel related, environmental impact items.
That's wise. Sustainability can also be about longevity. What are some things that Feel State is doing to make these franchises resilient?
Yeah, so, at the end of the day, we're firm believers that it starts with the team that you put in place of the dispensary. So there's a lot of turnover in cannabis, just like, especially in retail. I mean, it's not unique to just cannabis. So making sure that, the team is well trained, they're taken care of, they're valued, and allowing them to be empowered to make smart decisions when it comes to helping customers as they come into the dispensary. And from there, our big thing is we want to help these businesses hire people that are looking to advance. So, they're hungry, they're entrepreneurial, they have maybe they've dealt with some tough issues in the past and, made them a little stronger in terms of, resiliency, but, really focus on finding good people and helping that drive value to the dispensary, because ultimately, the team is the most important customer. And then that trickles down to, the actual people that come in the store to purchase the product. So, happy employees, happy customers, get that repeat business. And then it's also, what are ways that the businesses can operate efficiently when it comes to just operating expenses. So, effective staffing, looking for products that are, of value to the consumer, and then also providing value to the consumer beyond just the products itself. So it's whether it's education materials, other information, just ways to help the community, things that maybe don't cost a lot, but can provide a tremendous amount of value for the long term.
I can appreciate that. How would someone apply to this franchise model? Is there a pretty rigorous application?
Not at this point. So, I mean, it's more, we're out there talking with different groups, and if someone comes to us, we'll talk to anyone at this point. And really, it's finding the right people that kind of believe in what we're going for. So it's it's not just, hey, you want to be a Feel State? Yes, let's go and make it happen. It's okay. Let's make sure we really align, and that the people that we're going to be working with kind of buy into what we're going for with this concept. And then we'll do our diligence on the back end to make sure that it all meshes out. But, for us, we want to find good operators and good people to work with, because ultimately that's going to help, us on the Feel State side. Is going to help the dispensary as well, just be really aligned and making sure we're all working towards the same goal. Because at the end of the day, we want our success to be 100% derived from the success of everyone we work with. There's a lot in cannabis for, a lot of opportunity. So let's go and try and make as many successful individuals and groups as we can.
That's so cool. So you were introduced to Emerge seeking investment, and I know that's something that you're still interested in. What kind of investment are you looking for, and maybe what kind of investors would you be interested in working with?
Yeah, so, the beauty of our business model is we don't need as much capital to operate as a standard cultivation, manufacturing, or even a dispensary. So we are still looking for a little bit of capital to give us a longer runway, so we're not constantly out there trying to talk to new investors, and we can focus on business development. At this point, we're looking for $500,000 to maybe $1 million of new capital. So far, we've taken it from myself and my other partners, and then family and friends. So we're really looking for, it really could be anyone, but individuals, small groups. It doesn't have to be someone coming in with a whole chunk as well. So we'll take smaller investments, but it's also, so far we've been lucky that our investor base, again, has bought into kind of the concept that we're going for in our brand, and stuck with us for a while. So they know it's a longer term play. And by that, I mean, maybe it's 3 to 5 years rather than 6 months to a year. But they understand that this is a process, and we're not trying to grow to 100 locations overnight. Let's build, test, refine, and then grow. Kind of do things in a sequential and logical order.
I like that. In 5 years, I'd like to hope that we'll have federal legalities to worry about. But right now, we're dealing with a lot of different state regulations and things that people have to be worried about adhering to compliance. Is that a big aspect of kind of the guidance you would give your franchisees?
Yeah, so obviously compliance is a huge issue, and making sure that you are staying compliant with all the rules and regulations of every state or local municipality. And there's also federal ones on top of it as well, with 280E and things of that nature. So it's certainly stressed to take a more cautious approach when it comes to operating these businesses, and especially on the medical side. One of the things that we're really into is making sure that staff is trained appropriately, not to make overt medical claims about what cannabis is. Obviously, there's still a lot of research that needs to be done on what its potential. So at this point, a lot of the stuff is the information out there is anecdotal, and not fully vetted and tested. So making sure you're honest with the patients and the customers that's saying cannabis may or has a possibility to help with your symptoms, but it's not going to cure cancer. It's just trying to be fair and honest with everyone as they come in the store, and making sure they understand what cannabis is, and more importantly, what it's not, so they have a realistic expectation of how it may incorporate with their lifestyle.
I think we've got a good grip on what Field State's offering, but I know for a lot of investors, it's also important to get to know the leadership. So maybe you could tell me a bit about yourself and how you came to enter the cannabis space.
Yes, so I've been an entrepreneur for a long time. Myself and one of the other partners in Field State, we actually started a made-to-order cookie delivery business when we were students in college. So at 20 years old, we were running a business full-time and going to school full-time. Taught us a lot. It was definitely a unique opportunity and challenge. But over the course of that experience, and then my other professional experience in investment advisory, real estate, and then ultimately working at a previous vertically integrated cannabis company, taught me a lot of skills in terms of time management, diligence, how to treat people from a management perspective, so many skills that I didn't have when I first started out, and it was I think I'm now better positioned to, understand what my abilities are and are not. And so I think same with my partners. And, we go and try and find people that have complementary skills, are smarter than us, and build around it that way. Just because, we're not overly prideful in saying we can do this all on our own. That's not the case at all. It's, we want to build a strong team, like we've already stressed.
I think it's interesting to speak with entrepreneurial people because there's so many different skill sets that will often converge to create an ideal climate for what you're doing now. And that background in real estate, I think, is probably super powerful for being able to set up all these potential franchise locations. Is that played into your skill set?
Yes, I'm definitely have an interest in going and sourcing real estate, seeing where there might be potential property to look for, with a group. Obviously, real estate can be a challenging issue in cannabis for a variety of reasons, whether it's the zoning or the landlord has a loan on the property and the bank won't allow it. But it's it's something I like doing, going and searching around. But yeah, it's I think myself and my partners all have different skill sets, and that's why we work so well together. I'm more the back office, accounting, legal, administrative stuff. We have a cannabis expert, someone that just loves the plant, spends 24 hours a day just ingratiating himself in his home grow and the cannabis community, and understanding every little detail about it. Then we have, a true operations expert that knows how to, run the stores and, expert in retail and delivery. So, it's a good mix, and I think it served us well thus far.
How did you meet your team?
So, like I said, when my one partner, we've been in business together for 10 years now, 10 plus years. And actually went to school with him and grew up with him. So I've had a long relationship with him. And then my other one, we actually is a friend, is a cousin of a friend of ours. And we worked together at our previous cannabis company. So it's, we've had a long-term relationship with him as well.
So are there parallels between cannabis and cookies?
I would say that the mindset behind the cookie business definitely is geared towards the cannabis community. So there was that precursor. At the end of the day, there are some similarities. They're both retail. They're both consumer goods, and how you treat your staff and your customer, those are always going to play in any industry. So and then obviously on the operation side as well, focusing on how to efficiently operate a cookie business is a little different than how to operate a cannabis business, but the principles are generally aligned.
And did you decide to get into the cannabis space because it was something that you were passionate about, or maybe you saw a lucrative business opportunity? And there's nothing wrong with that either.
Yeah, no, I've always had an interest in cannabis and the entrepreneurial opportunity. So having worked for other companies where I wasn't in the entrepreneurial role, having the ability to kind of come back and step into this arena was very interesting. And I saw, we saw the opportunity where we thought there was some lacking in the market, especially as it relates to like customer education, then really building localized businesses. And so, just all the wonderful things cannabis, can provide to people. We really wanted to build a business around that and, kind of use that as a differentiator to grow and get back into this entrepreneurial spirit.
And so why are sustainable elements important to you? Because I know sometimes they can have an additional cost up front or other sort of obstacles to implementation. So as a budding business, why is this something you've chosen to pursue?
Yeah, I think it's just one of the things we've always believed in. I was raised with recycling and, trying to limit the number of resources you use and being conservative about, just everything we had. So I think that's important for us, especially as we grow this business. Is there's obviously a lot of talk about climate change and how the world is needs to evolve, and being maybe a younger generation, I buy into that a little more. But it's I think it's important for us. It's something that's important for us to espouse and to try and follow through and really educate others, especially in the cannabis industry where you see a lot of waste, a lot of electricity use, the packaging requirements. So it's how do you build a smarter business? I think ultimately the younger demographic will kind of gravitate toward those businesses that are operating responsibly and ethically, not only as it relates to sustainability, but to other aspects as well.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with that, especially if you're talking about franchising that way. I think that's important if you want to grow. What do you think the future of the cannabis space looks like?
I think there's, like I said, a lot of opportunity, but to that end, I think we're a proponent of making sure that people that have been wronged by cannabis in the past, are made whole, and not they're not forgotten about, and that there's opportunity for other groups as well, the small business entrepreneur or just the average person to come into the industry and participate. So we're more of a let's create a whole a robust industry where, there's a little more, I'd say, free participation. That doesn't mean it's unregulated. I think there's plenty of ways to incorporate smart and sensible regulations when it comes to testing and security and, just general business operations. But, we talk to so many people that tell us, hey, one day I want to own a dispensary, or I want to own a cultivation. And I think, having that ability and that opportunity for them to, one day realize their dream, just like so many other people, is important.
And was that when you sort of had like your aha moment, was hearing people, so many people express that interest, but not have maybe the legs under them to do it?
So it's actually been more of the people we've been interacting with and interviewing for the 2 locations we're about to open up. So a lot of people just, coming to work, wanting to work in a dispensary as a manager or a bud tender, just to, get their foot in the door and see how things work and grow that way. That's really where we've seen this interaction of people, desire to become entrepreneurs as well. So it's really interesting. I think, providing them with an opportunity to start somewhere and see where it leads, it's rewarding for us.
So you've got 2 locations opening, you mentioned, and those are franchise locations?
Yeah, so we're working with a group that is opening a dispensary in St. Louis, Missouri, and then another group that is opening one in Kansas City, Missouri. Both should be coming online probably within the next 2 months.
Wow. And what were some of the big challenges you encountered trying to get those off the ground?
Well, we are extremely grateful for the 2 groups that we're working with, because they're our first 2. So, the concept is still unproven, but, they took a shot on us. They saw, all the materials and everything that we have created and, our plan in terms of how we want to help them implement this. And I think they're willing to, give us a shot, because they, like I said, they bought into what we're going for. And, really working with us to grow and to make sure we're doing this the right way. Without them, I don't know where we would be. Definitely not in the current situation, but I think we're so happy to be working with the 2 groups that we are, and being in the markets that we're in, because it will allow us to, access the 2 major markets in Missouri. And, have, they're actually kind of located in 2 different, I'd say, demographic regions. So, be able to test the model in different areas as well.
Are you collecting a lot of data in these initial phases to kind of find where you can improve or expand or change?
Yes. I mean, as we're helping them, through the build out. So, at this point, understanding where, how we can refine that and make it simpler. I think we've gotten it down to pretty good. And then, as we, go through the training and the operations with them, it's a constant evolution, especially in a new market. So, everyone should be reassessing, what they're doing and how to improve. And it's going to be a continuous improvement. I think that's the route, and our view is, yes, you may be doing something good, but can you be doing something better? Or what else can you add on that's going to provide value to your team and your customers? Just kind of looking at it that way, and never being complacent in how things are going.
Do you see Feel State kind of staying in the Missouri region, or are you planning to expand nationally?
Yes, I think, for the right group and the right opportunity, we would, consider pretty much any location. But it's not just, we're not trying to go for the land grab approach. And, ideally we'd like to stay in the Midwest, but if we had a really strong owner and operator in Oregon that said, hey, I like what you're doing, can we work something out? I think, we go through our diligence and see if it made sense from our perspective. But we're not limiting ourselves at this point. It's more finding the good people to work with.
I guess lastly, David, is there anything you'd like our audience to take away from this session that maybe we didn't touch on?
No, I mean, I think, we're really just community focused. We're, younger individuals, hungry, willing to work hard. I would say, if you want to learn more, please go to our website. It's www.myfeelstate.com. One thing we created, which we're actually really proud of, is kind of a cannabis guidebook and journal. So it's like a cannabis 101. It has all the information about, different consumption methods, terpenes, cannabinoids, this general vocabulary, cannabis math, the conversions of like an eighth to a quarter to an ounce, things of that. It's a great resource that we're really proud of that we work to create. So, if you're curious about cannabis and, looking for some good general information, I think it's a great resource to have.
That's awesome. And that was feelstate.com?
Myfeelstate.com.
Beautiful. Well, that's powerful stuff. I think that wraps it up. But on behalf of Cannabis and Tech Today and Feel State, thanks to the entire Emerge audience for joining us. And until next time, this is Patricia Miller and David Melnick signing off.
Today's episode of Cannabis Tech Talks is brought to you by Hardy Diagnostics. Hardy Diagnostics is an American company that manufactures and sells bacteriological culture media, reagents, automated microscope slide staining machines, and rapid identification kits for microbiological testing in clinical, research, and industrial laboratories. Hardy Diagnostics is proud to be partnering with cannabis testing and cannabis science laboratories to ensure that cannabis products are safe for consumers. Hardy offers a wide range of pathogen detection and environmental monitoring products. At Hardy Diagnostics, you will find a complete selection of laboratory and microbiology supplies for the clinical, industrial, and molecular biology labs. See their amazing line of products. Go to hardydiagnostics.com.